All right, Benita, I'm here in the Knesset, and with me is Jeremy Saltan, the Director of English Operations for the Amina Party of Naftali Bennett. We're expecting, hoping for a vote to swear in this new government. Jeremy, are we going to have a vote, all 61 seats voting in favor?
Yes, we should have a vote within the next hour. And I can tell you that I am confident we will be able to deliver the 61 votes necessary to make my friend and boss, Naftali Bennett, the next Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
Now, Naftali Bennett gave his, you could call it a sort of inaugural speech as incoming Prime Minister. And, of course, he was met by a very raucous reception, that's putting it mildly, from members of the current government, soon to be opposition. What did you think about what happened there in the main plenum of the Knesset while Naftali Bennett was speaking?
You know, there's this Kenny Rogers song, right, that says, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. When I go ahead and I see what I saw just, a couple of hours ago when Naftali was given, his last speech before being sworn in as Prime Minister, I really thought of Kenny Rogers right there at that moment.
I don't know if people were thinking of Kenny Rogers there, but that's okay. Let me just ask you, though, about the substance of Naftali Bennett's speech, because it was a plea for unity, a plea to the opposition. He was very effusive in his praise of Benjamin Netanyahu. He spoke out to the ultra-Orthodox members of soon to be in the opposition, but there didn't seem to be a lot of unity coming from the other side.
Look, I think just as with birth, you have birthing pains. I think we're hearing a lot of screaming coming from the coalition, soon to be opposition. I think that once this baby is delivered and we have a new Prime Minister in the State of Israel, that things will calm down and hopefully go back to normal. Naftali said in his speech, he's going to be the Prime Minister of all Israelis, and that includes those who, of course, voted for the members of the opposition parties, the incoming opposition, of course.
So if we assume that vote is going to be held within the next hour or so, and the government is sworn in, what are the priorities? What could we expect in the coming weeks, even in the coming days, of this new, very diverse coalition?
Well, I think Naftali said, in terms of his agenda, some of the things that we are going to be doing. Of course, at the top of the agenda is passing the state budget. That is a big thing that I don't think people realize. We have to pass 3 state budgets over the next 6 months. So there's going to be a lot of effort that's put into there in terms of being able to prioritize what we feel should be done with, of course, all of the Israeli citizens' tax money. But beyond that, there's an idea of where it is that we do want to be making these investments. He talked about the fact that we need to go ahead and have an extra university and hospital, for instance, up in the Galil. And yes, he also talked about the symbolic things which you were mentioning just now, about the need to heal the nation after 4 elections and very close to a 5th election in less than 2.5 years.
What did you make of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's remarks? Especially, I was struck by his insistence that this new incoming government of Naftali Bennett would not, for example, be able to stand up to security challenges such as those posed by Iran, but even, and he was very explicit about this, pressure from the United States, from the Biden administration.
Again, I found it disappointing. This is the end of an era. Okay, after 12 consecutive years and 15 overall, Netanyahu is stepping down from the prime minister stage, and I think we all realize that he's never going to go back there. So it would have been nice in his last speech as prime minister to really, along with all the accomplishments which he did mention in his speech, leave gracefully. I think that's what a majority of people, including those who voted for Benjamin Netanyahu, really wanted to see from that speech, and I think that was a miss on his part.
Jeremy, Prime Minister Netanyahu made it clear that he does see himself going back to that role, and certainly as of now, the Likud is standing with him. So what kind of pressure are you expecting from the opposition in the coming days, particularly from Benjamin Netanyahu, who for the meantime will be its leader?
This reminds me a lot of the election we had in 2015, where we had 61 members vote in favor of the coalition, and it took some time, but we were able to expand that coalition over time. I am very confident we'll be able to do the same thing with this coalition. And there are different ways to do it, and we learned a lot of these things out of Netanyahu's playbook. One of the pieces of legislation that we're going to be passing is going to make it easier if there are certain MKs from Likud that would like to go ahead and split away and perhaps join our coalition. So again, I understand what Netanyahu is saying. I am quite sure and quite confident Netanyahu is not going to return to the prime minister's residence, certainly not as prime minister.
But wait, is he going to, first of all, let me ask, is he going to leave the prime minister's residence because he's still in Balfour Street, the official residence? Naftali Bennett says he's not moving in. Is the government going to take action to see that Prime Minister Netanyahu does leave within the next few days?
There's this precedent of a grace period, which Netanyahu has asked for. Naftali Bennett is okay giving him that grace period of time. I can't tell you exactly how long that grace period is, but this is something that happened with previous prime ministers, and we're going to give him the time that he needs to be able to leave, and again, do so gracefully. And I'll go back to Bennett's speech. He spoke very warmly of the person that he is replacing. And, Netanyahu could have returned the favor. That would have been the mensch thing to do, as we like to say.
Jeremy Saltan, thank you for that.